guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah and this is B.fleye Beauty, and today we have story time. I actually did this intro already and realized that my sound was not on, and also my battery was gonna die. So we're starting over. All right, so I don't know if you heard about the Microsoft shutdown over the weekend and the crazy in the airport, but that was me. So I have these lovely college friends and we are very close, and the last college friend is turning 40, and so she invited us to go to Savannah for a quick weekend trip. So we wanted to do this the cheapest way possible. The Airbnb was pretty expensive, but we're like, but if we can get there on a really good flight, we can make this happen. Freddie got us flights through his miles or his points. We were able to do like part miles, part cash, whatever. Spent a good chunk on the Airbnb, but I will say, like, in hindsight, so much was taken care of that it ended up being like a really easy weekend, worth the money and all that, right? So, I mean, except for the airport experience. So there were not a ton of flights going out to that area. So we ended up getting a flight very early in the morning. We wanted to get there as soon as possible because we're only staying 2 nights. So because we're only staying a couple of nights, we're like, well, we'll just suck it up, get there really early in the morning so that we can have as much of a day as possible and we could just explore the city together, see if it's a place we'd love to come back to someday. So our flight was to leave at like 5:15. We're supposed to get there at 11 a.m. We were gonna have most of the day together, and then we were gonna get back together with the group that evening and have dinner and, you know, do all the fun things. So we get to the airport, we wake up around 3, we get to the airport pretty quickly, and it's really weird in the airport. It's like, mind you, I've had like weird anxiety the week before. Another one of my friends did too, and we were trying to figure it out, and we're like, why do we feel like this? Like, really, why do we feel like this? I thought it was just maybe because we had to like kind of take care of a lot of things before we left, clean the house, things like that, get stuff together for work. We were both like super busy with work. And I was like, maybe we'll just chalk it up to like our typical travel anxiety, because once I'm on a plane or once I'm at the airport or whatever, I feel fine. I'm not anxious. I love traveling. I actually love flying. I love planning trips and doing all the fun things. So I was like, oh, well, once we get there, I'll be fine. This is just me having to take care of so much before we leave, because I don't know about you, but I really love a clean house to come home to. So like, we had our home cleaned, we had our dog cleaned, we did all our laundry, we like emptied the dishwasher. We wanted to make sure that when we came home, we were relaxed. And let me tell you, that choice was very good, even more than normal. So like I said, we get there and it feels really weird. And I'm like, why do I still feel so weird about this trip? And there's like barely anybody in the airport. I know it's early, but like, it's weird. Like, they're taking us through like the security checkpoint that like most people don't go through anymore. They're like the old school ones where only if you maybe have metal in your head or something, they don't have you go through it. Just very quick, very empty. There's people like sleeping in the airport. I'm like, what the F, man? So we're sitting at our gate and we're thinking we barely have any time and then we're gonna get on this flight. And the guy comes on and he's like, I don't know if you've heard what's going on the news, but Microsoft had a shutdown. We have the blue screen of death. We have to wait for all this to come on before we can fly. So every plane is grounded. This is what he said. Every plane is grounded. That was already a lie. Maybe he didn't know. Like, let me tell you this. We flew Delta from Austin to Atlanta to Savannah. I rarely fly Delta. They're one of the biggest, if not the biggest airline ever. Atlanta is their hub. So just be prepared for the freaking shit show, okay? So the Delta people were phenomenal. Like, customer service was out of this world. So I don't know if he just didn't know or if he was told to just play it cool. So he like, so we're gonna be delayed a little bit. I'm like, okay, a little bit. I can do that. I can do a little bit. My lips have been so chapped. So they just keep delaying it by 30 minutes. Delay 30 minutes, delay 30 minutes, delay 30 minutes, delay 30 minutes. As of today, I know they should have given us a meal voucher at this point, and they had not. So we're just waiting. Then me and Freddie look at each other and we're like, okay, is this a sign that we just need to go home? So here we are deciding. We're like, okay, we each had to spend $400 on this Airbnb, which, like I said, in the grand scheme of things, ended up being fine because so many other things were taken care of. But we're like, okay, if this continues to be delayed, we're only there for 2 full days. That's it. And then we're coming home. Like, is this worth sitting in an airport all day? Like, what if this continues to happen and we don't make it there till, I don't know, 10 p.m.? So we're back and forth having this conversation, and I'm like, you know, if you really want to go home and this is what you want to do, then I'll do that. Like, but just know that we're going to lose this Airbnb money. So we had to really think about that. Is that worth, like, if we could still get there at 10, we could still have dinner with our friends, we could still use our Airbnb, still go to the party. Is this really worth giving up? I mean, we went back and forth for about a good 2-3 hours, and we finally decided to stay at the airport and stick it out. So we got on our first flight from Austin to Atlanta about 4 hours into the day, so about 4 hours late. And we get to Atlanta. Massive airport. No screens are working anywhere. We have no idea where to go. They tell us immediately, like the flight attendants on the current flight tell us what gate to go to. They tell us what gate we're in. That gate changes 3 or 4 times, but you have to like be really close to the desk to be able to hear any update, because you can't see any updates on any screens. So people are sleeping everywhere. I mean, there's people in every single crevice, corner, everything. Surprisingly, no one is being a total jackass to each other. Like, I only saw 1 issue, maybe 2, the whole entire weekend at the airport, where people were not very nice. So that was a lovely surprise, I will say. So it's another 3 hours in the Atlanta airport, maybe 4, I'm not sure. We finally get on the plane. Now, Atlanta to Savannah is about an hour. It's like doing Houston to Austin. And we're like, we're finally there. We should touch down around 5 p.m. We should have touched down at 11. We would have only been 6 hours late. No big deal. I mean, a big deal, but like not the end of the world, right? Like, we can handle this. So we're hovering around Savannah around 5 p.m. and the captain gets on the little speaker and she's like, look, I hate to bring you more bad news, but we cannot touch down right now. We cannot touch down right now because there is a weather cell. And for your safety, we have to wait for that cell to move, then we can dive down underneath. So she said, we're gonna circle around. It should only be about 15 minutes. So 15 minutes go by. We're trying to stay calm. And she gets back on the intercom and she's sad. Like, she's legit sad. Oh my gosh. This is just so horrible, you guys. She gets on the intercom and she goes, I hate to do this to you guys, but we're running out of fuel, so we're gonna have to go to South Carolina, because it's actually quicker to go to South Carolina than it is to go back to Atlanta, and we need fuel. So we went to get fuel in South Carolina. We're there for about 2 hours because of the weather. We're back to Savannah. We touched down somewhere around 7:30, and we then have to taxi for about 30 minutes. So we get out of the plane around 8. Our friend's husband picks us up about 8:30, and we're to the Airbnb around 9. So we were supposed to be there at 11 and we get there at 9, so we're 10 hours late. We've now done 16 full hours of travel. We end up having an argument, which, to be honest, like, should have happened, because I don't know how anybody can get through that and be calm and collected. So we get through it, it's fine, it's no big deal. We end up having a good time with our friends. They had already bought food. They decided to just stay in with all the hullabaloo going on. So nobody went out to eat. They literally just ordered in. Everybody's in comfy clothes. Everybody's having a great time, drinking, eating, laughing. It's a good time. So we're in recovery at this point. The next day, we have a lovely time. We wake up and have breakfast together, half of us. Like, we're in 2 separate little apartments in the same building. It's actually really, really cool. And so, like, half of us go to this brunch together. Then me and Freddie took a little trolley tour of the city. We didn't want to nap because we'd already missed that whole first day of exploring. And with only 2 days there, we were like, dang it, like, we really missed this opportunity to see the city together. So we just did it that day and then came back together in the evening for my friend's party, which was awesome. They rented a rooftop. They rented the rooftop of this restaurant. Very fancy, lovely restaurant. The service was impeccable. I mean, and honestly, the service at the airport was amazing too. It just happened to be such a sucky situation. So it was like open bar. I will say it's not my style of food. We had like a charcuterie board at the beginning, which was lovely. Like, all the food tasted good, but just like not my style. It was like beef tartare, like liver mousse, like blah, blah, blah. By the way, I did try the liver mousse and I didn't realize it was liver mousse, and I immediately, my eyes are watering right now. I immediately like spit it into a napkin because I was like, what the heck is this? Anyway, so had a lovely time. We had a great night. Like, there's always drama when people are wasted, so there were some wasted people there. But like, in the grand scheme of things, it was a great time with my friends. So we wake up the next morning, ready to go home. So we flew out Friday, party was Saturday, flew home midday Sunday. So we were supposed to leave, and then before we even left the Airbnb, they're like, well, your flight's delayed 30 minutes. I'm like, okay, no big deal. So we get there and the flight continues to be delayed every 30 minutes. They're like, delay. So not every airline was affected, because basically it was this new high-end software that airlines went in on together. Basically, they're like, this is amazing, we're gonna do it. And I'm not saying they went in on it together like financially, but like, so many people took it on. Delta, American. The people that didn't were like the cheap people, Southwest, Alaska. So some airlines were still flying normally. What American did on the first day was the smarter decision based off of what I could hear and the people that were talking around me, which is they just canceled like the first half of the day and then like rescheduled people and had the rest of the day kind of going out normally. Well, Delta just continued to delay. Every 30 minutes they delayed. So they're like 5 days delayed at this point. So on Sunday, when we go home and we're all still flying Delta, things are more delayed than ever, but they're not telling us this. They're just like, every 30 minutes you're delayed. So we're in the Savannah airport and all of us are, almost every single person, unlike the first day, we're on the same flight going home. So as we're waiting for this flight delay, every couple is like, do we want to stay for this? What if this is like the first day where we're in the airport the whole day? Like, is this how we want to do it? And so we're like taking this gamble together, and one couple's like, no, we're out. It was a couple hours in, they canceled their flights, they rebooked on a different airline the next day, they got a hotel, and they're like, let's just go have fun today and try again tomorrow. Then the next couple did it. Then the next couple did it. We were the last couple in our group to decide, and we decided together that we were gonna stick it out. So we were the only couple on the way home to still be in the airport like halfway through the day. We ended up getting on our first flight from Savannah back to Atlanta at 9 p.m. and we were supposed to leave around 2. So we're like barely hanging on. We get on this flight and it's like, I know this, but I didn't realize that I had to be thinking about this at the time, which was they're hurrying us onto this plane. They're like, hurry. You gotta hurry because the pilot's gonna time out. And if the pilot times out, meaning he can't fly past a certain amount of hours for safety. If he times out, we're not going to be able to leave on this plane. So they're like, you have to hurry, you have to hurry. Well, we're all hurrying. I mean, this whole plane got on, seated, seatbelts on, suitcases in the thing in like 10 freaking minutes. Then we sit for a good 10 minutes with nothing, absolute silence. Captain gets on, they're like, I'm sorry, we timed out. Everybody has to get off the plane. So we get off the plane, still in Savannah, a whole day at the airport again, and I started immediately crying. Freddie's screaming, or like punching the air, like silent screaming, right? Punching stuff, kicking stuff. I'm crying, and I'm like, that's it. That's it, we're not doing this. So I had him cancel our flights because I'm sure they were gonna rebook us on something. I booked a hotel, he booked on Southwest for Monday morning. We go to the hotel. I swear I have like so much like dry skin. So we go to the hotel, we get like some frozen burritos, we're having the best time. I'm in like the most disgusting, it's just like the most horrible situation where like at this point we're just laughing and we're like, this is our life now. Like this is our life. Leave the hotel Monday morning to get to our Southwest flight. And the Southwest flight, there's 3 of us on the same flight going home that day. Me, Freddie, and Megan. And we're delayed 30 minutes. No big deal. They said it's just a mechanical thing. They had a mechanical problem with the other plane. New plane's fine. We're gonna get on. So we did. We got on 30 minutes late. Well, the problem is we got on 30 minutes late, which made us miss our second flight. They were supposed to hold it though. They were supposed to hold it because we had 12 to 15 people on the first flight from Savannah to Houston, because we decided when we booked the new flight, we didn't want to go through Atlanta because it was such a shit show. So we're like, if we can just get to Houston, no matter what happens, we can at least drive home if something happens, right? So there's this horrible turbulence on this plane going to Houston, but we get there. They don't frickin' hold the plane for us. We're running. We get there, they're like, oh, we let it take off 2 minutes ago. Nope. They're like, but we rebooked you and you're gonna go Houston to New Orleans, back to Austin. You'll be home around 1 a.m. Nope. So apparently during the terrifying turbulence where we thought we were all gonna die, my friend Megan literally uses the Wi-Fi and books a rental car. She was like, I'm not doing this again. And thank goodness, because the 3 of us got in this rental car and drove from Houston to Austin while watching the flights. If we would have taken that rebooked flight, which would have been Houston to New Orleans to Austin, we would have ended up staying in New Orleans because all those flights got canceled too, even on Southwest, because of weather and mechanical issues, not even because of the outage. So thank God for Megan, because we were able to drive home, and by the time we got home to our house, it was about 10 p.m., maybe 10:30. So the third day was how much travel? Probably a good 12-hour travel day. First day was 16 hours, second day was 10 hours, then we had like a 12-hour day. You guys, it was like a scary horror version of Home Alone. I don't know how we all survived it, but like we literally took Tuesday and did as little as possible. Freddie asked off. I literally only did email work, and I just couldn't bring myself to do anything else. We were exhausted. 4 people ended up getting COVID. I took a test. I'm negative, but just a horrifying experience. We will be getting most of our stuff back in the end, thank goodness, but we're gonna have to fight it. I will say I'll put her thing down below. She's a lawyer and we've been kind of following her advice, the legal advice. Like Delta came on the news and said that they're just gonna give everyone frequent flyer miles for Delta. Well, that's illegal because there's new laws where they have to give you a full refund. So things like that. Like, I didn't know those laws. So this lawyer has kind of opened our eyes to just if they lose your bag, if you're delayed or bumped more than 3 hours, like, so we're gonna have to fight for these things. They have said that they are going to, you know, refund our flights and all of that, which is great. But like all the other stuff, like the hotel, we have to submit receipts for hotels, Airbnbs, Ubers, food, all of that stuff. And I understand that like it was very hard to give people vouchers in the moment because, you know, they're just trying to help people get on other flights. So it's not like, oh, let me print you out this hotel voucher. We didn't even want to talk to people anymore. We're like, we're just going to pay for this and then ask for a refund, which at this point, with as big as it's gotten, they really have no choice. Like, they're not going to get away with being like, well, this wasn't our fault. Okay, well, you know, there's this many people out, like you're going to have to pay for this. It's a pretty big deal. All right, let me let this boy out. All right, let's just buff this. Like even today, so yesterday, well, what's today? Today's Thursday. So Tuesday we were in recovery. Yesterday I did like a normal day's work. Today I woke up and felt like crap. I'm like, do I need to take another COVID test? Because I tested negative, but I'm just not feeling the best, if you know what I mean. Like, and I just don't know, is it because I'm just emotionally exhausted from this? You know, like it's still not done till we get our full refund. So there's like a ton of fighting we have to do. I have to now call Southwest and they're going to be like, oh, you didn't get flight protection. Well, at this point, even if we didn't get flight protection, we would have stayed overnight in New Orleans and we kept you from having to pay for that. So return the second leg. You know what I mean? It's like all these other things we have to think about. I don't know. I just don't feel the best. And, I just want all this to be over. Like it doesn't scare me from flying. It doesn't scare me from traveling or anything. I love it too much. So it's not anything like that. It's just like people are on edge. I can't believe that not more people got in fights in the airport, but it was really quite calm. People were making jokes. And I think people understood that like at this point, you better calm your tits and like find some sort of positivity somewhere because we're all in the same boat and like no one's special here. No one's getting out of this. I don't care how much money you have, like you're gonna be stuck at the frickin' airport. All right, let's buff some of this in. Anyway, so have you guys experienced anything like this? I'm gonna put that lawyer's account down below. I'm sure she's on TikTok. I saw her on Instagram and it's just really helpful things where like if the airline says, oh no, we're not gonna do that for you, you can show legal proof of why they have to. So at least you have someone on your side there to like back you up, if that makes sense. I will say though, like as much as I have flown and traveled, it's not like I've like traveled more than anyone in the world, but I have traveled quite a bit. I've never experienced turbulence like that before on that one flight. I'd never experienced the delays, but I will also say, again, like the customer service from Delta was great. And it sucks that this, from such a high level, is going to affect them because the people are wonderful and the workers were experiencing the same crap as us. Like they're having to deal with us. They're having to deal with rescheduling people. I mean, you have people, like you have crews that were supposed to make it to be your crew on this, but they're in Nebraska. I don't know. You know, I can't imagine having to navigate that in that way. And I think most people were really lovely where they tried to keep their calm and like they were polite and making jokes and like there were people just thanking the workers. There was one lady that was offering to bring some of the agents a drink, and not like alcohol, but just like, hey, can I get you a water? Can I get you a Coke? Like, what can we do for you? It was nice that most people kind of came together in a positive way. I mean, it definitely put a strain on us together. Like we definitely argued, but we came out alive and stronger, I will say that. Also, we got to eat something probably absolutely disgusting, but it reminded me of my childhood. Do you know those frozen burritos, the beef and bean frozen burritos? That might have been one of the best tasting things I'd had in so long. And I don't know if it was just because our life sucked so bad and we hadn't eaten barely anything in 3 days. Like, we were dehydrated, we were exhausted. Like, I went to the chiropractor yesterday. He's like, what's going on there? And so I kind of told him the gist, and he's like, okay, after all this, I'm gonna need you to ice your back tonight. So you just forget like everything that it can affect in your life when something like that happens. And it's just this domino effect. I mean, I know that Delta is still, like, I don't know why they're still experiencing so many delays and cancellations. Like, the amount of bags that are still left and lost. Thank you, Jesus. We did not check bags. We never really do, but wow. Like, we were lucky in a lot of ways, you know, getting home. At one point, I really didn't know if we would get home, like, truly. I was like, maybe we should have just rented a car. But even then, you could not rent a car and take it to another state. Those were all out. Because so many people were doing that. Like, thank goodness we got to Houston, because they let us take it from Houston to Austin. But like in Atlanta, they weren't letting people take cars out of the city. They're like, you can use it to rent, to drive around the city, but it has to come back here. You can't take it anywhere else. So like, if we wanted to drive home from Atlanta, we wouldn't have been able to. It's just freaking wild. I don't think anything like that is going to happen again, but I will say a couple of things that I've learned is we are going to make a list of things that we can't live without, like sleeping pills. If I run out of like my normal magnesium, things that I take to sleep, I need to have a backup plan. I need to have some headache medicine. We all brought extra underwear because we freaking knew. Somehow, like, I'm in the bathroom like hand washing leggings, but thankfully we all had extra underwear. Anyway, just something to think about, like thinking ahead. What are little things that we need to keep in our bag for the future if something like this happens again? Because we're like, okay, we're stranded here, and what did we wish we had? Some sleeping pills, you know what I mean? Like things like that. Anyway, a lot of life lessons learned. Always get flight protection, because something like this happens again, it makes it a little bit easier to get your money back. Even though none of this is, I will say though that they're gonna tell us like this is not in our control, but the Department of Transportation has said it is within their control because they didn't have a backup plan. So they have no choice but to refund. So we will get most of our stuff back. I think it's just gonna be the hardest to get our second flight money back. But yeah, anyway, that's the story. We're gonna make t-shirts. I survived the Microsoft outage of 2024. Hopefully you were not traveling. Let me know down below if you were though. And if you have been to Savannah, live in Savannah, love Savannah, vacation in Savannah, we do want to go back. Is there anything that we need to see? So anyways, that's the story, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.